Is there any advice that you would like to give to people who would like to maybe go off on their own, start their own companies, things like that? I mean, you as being sort of the king of entrepreneurs.
Well, I would say, a couple of things. One, never chase the hot thing, whatever it is. That's like trying to catch the wave, and you'll never catch it. You need to position yourself and wait for the wave. And the way you do that is you pick something you're passionate about. So that's the number one piece of advice that I give to somebody who wants to start a company or start a new endeavor inside of a bigger company. Make sure it's something you're interested in, something you're passionate about. Missionaries build better products. And so I would take a missionary over a mercenary any day. Mercenaries want to, flip the company and get rich. Missionaries want to build a great product or service. And, and one of those great paradoxes, it's usually the missionaries who end up making more money anyway.
Business is a sport and a competitiveness just like basketball, football, baseball, or anything. And it's the competitiveness. When I was 21 years old, I won my first Cadillac selling Shackley vitamins. I told myself I wanted to own my first jet at 35. And
did you pull it off?
100%. 100%. And then when I was in my 20s, I said, when that Forbes 400 came out, I said, I want to be on that list one day.
Yeah.
So you got to set yourself goals and try to set yourself apart. Yeah. And I talk about that in the book, is that anybody can set themselves apart. You can be the best sound guy. You can be the best cameraman. You can do certain things and study your field, and then you get a break because you were such a good cameraman, or you're the best sound guy that you got recommended to go on this set and then this set. And then all of a sudden in Hollywood, you're known as the best sound guy.
Yeah.
You can do things to separate yourself from everybody else by just working a little harder.
I have a shirt that I wear. I put a quote on it: "Be so good they can't ignore you."
100%.
I'm wondering what habit or habits have contributed most to your ability to continue learning and improving your investment decisions in a changing business and financial environment?
I would say that, at least in my case, I haven't been continually learning in terms of the basic principles. You always learn a little more about given techniques, or I learn more about some industries over time, and therefore maybe I've widened the universe in which I can operate, although more funds narrows it back down, unfortunately. But I know more about businesses than I knew 20 years ago or 40 years ago. I haven't really changed the principles. The last change, the basic principles are still Ben Graham. They were affected in a significant way by Charlie and Bill Fisher in terms of looking at the better businesses, but I didn't leave Graham behind on that. And I really haven't learned any new fundamental principles, but I may have learned a little bit more about how business operates over time. And there's really nothing. I mean, you ought to get a investment framework that comes straight from, in my view, from the intelligent investor and from Phil Fisher. More from the intelligent investor, actually. And then I think you ought to learn everything you can about industries and businesses where you think you have the ability to get your mind around them if you work at them. And with that arsenal, you'll do very well. And if you've got the temperament for the business.
Meditation is the biggest gift that I can give anyone. And I would say more than anything, it is whatever reason for success I've had. Because it allows one, back to the two U's, I'll clarify. What I mean is that in your mind, we think, what do you want? And the reality is, when you look at the neuroscience and psychology, that there are different parts of your brain that want different things. And so in the simplest sense, there is the logical part of your brain that you're conscious of. It's called the conscious. And you think you're being logical and you want to make those decisions. And then there's the subliminal, below the limbic system, part of the brain, which is the emotional, and it's not as conscious to you, but it has more of an influence on you than really the logical one. And so they're not aligned. And so when you're experiencing that pain, or let's say the ego, right, there were two main things. You got an ego barrier and a blind spot barrier. If you can get past your ego barrier and you get past your blind spot barrier, you can accomplish anything, because you'll also know that you don't have to do everything, you don't have to figure it out yourself. You can take in from other people the different ways to approach things in the best possible way. And so the realization that we all are really struggling with ourselves, and to think which is in control. Meditation helps to deal with the alignment of those two things, because both are valuable. In other words, intuition, imagination, the things we really love come from our subliminal us's, right? Our needs, whatever they may be. They come from here, that subliminal. They may be valuable. They may be damaging. You don't know the difference. And so when they come up and you're looking at those with your logical mind and you can align those things, you're probably in good shape. If you can do that alignment between the subliminal and the logical, and you can do that with other people, so that you can triangulate with other people and say, does that make sense? And get alignment. That alignment is the path to the future, because you only have to know what the best things to do are. You don't have to have them all come up from your head. And for God's sakes, don't be overly opinionated, because just because you have that opinion, it doesn't mean it's true. So that's where the two U's and the alignment really is so important.